Uh-oh.
What? What's that?
It's my Visa bill. Envelope 1 of 2. That can't be good.
Open it. Open it.
Oh, my God.
Whoa.
Look at this. How did I spend so much money?
Joey, that's just the minimum amount due. That's your total due. Whoa, $3,500 at Porcelain Safari?
My animals. Hey, the guy said they suited me. He spoke with an accent. I was all confused. Oh.
So if you're like Joey and might not have any idea of what credit cards really are or all of the different terms that are associated with them or what a credit card statement looks like, we're going to delve into that a little now. So first off, let's just take a quick look at the basics of credit cards.
A credit card is essentially a physical card that entitles the holder to borrow money from the issuer. Credit cards are a type of unsecured personal loan between the credit card issuer and the credit card holder. Typically, a credit card is used at the point of sale as a means of paying the seller for goods or services in lieu of payment by cash or check. Credit card companies have standard terms for their loan agreements with customers. Frequently, an annual fee is charged for the use of the card. Interest is charged for any outstanding balance at the end of the charge cycle, which is usually 1 month, although not necessarily corresponding to the calendar month. Most credit cards have an upper limit, determined by the customer's creditworthiness. Finally, since credit cards are a form of unsecured credit, they are riskier loans for financial institutions, so their interest rates are normally considerably higher than other types of loans. Credit cards are issued by financial institutions such as banks, but may also be issued by retailers and oil companies for store-specific use.
So as the video mentioned, a credit card is something that you can buy things now, or in other words, you're charging it or you're putting it on credit and you're paying later. And usually you are paying at the end of the month. And essentially, when we look at this overall, you are taking out a loan from whatever credit card company you have when you're charging all of your items onto your card, and you're going to owe them back later, whatever you charged, potentially plus interest. And so the more credit cards you have, the more of a risk you are because you've taken out more and more debt or you have a higher loan. Now, the video also mentioned a couple different terms, and we're going to take a look at all of these terms down here in red next to the Quizlet sign. And so I want you to create a Quizlet with all of these terms, and we're going to take a look at them in an actual credit card statement as well as defining them in our Quizlet. I'm going to tell you that you should go to Quizlet on the actual computer rather than your iPad, because this way you could add images if you want or have it auto-define for you. If you go to Quizlet on the internet, make sure you're choosing your login. If you don't know what your Quizlet password is, you can log in or sign up with your Google account, and it should let you right on through. And then when you're actually signed into Quizlet, you're going to choose in the upper left-hand corner the Create button. And the first thing is to write what we're doing. So I'm just going to write personal finance, credit card terms for my title. And then it is going to have down here a place for you to enter your terms and your definition. If you choose the language under here as English on the left and as English on the right, it will auto-define or at least give you that option. So the first term that we had in our PowerPoint that we want to cover is the annual fee, and that was mentioned in the video. And if you are wanting it to auto-define, you can click this little auto-define button, and it'll give you some options. So the first one says a yearly fee that's charged by the credit card company for the convenience of the credit card. The second one I think is shorter, more succinct, an amount that credit card companies charge for the use of the card. So basically, this is just a fee for you to have a credit card. I think this is absolutely ridiculous. There are plenty of credit cards out there that you can find that don't charge an annual fee, but that is a way that credit card companies sneak in and get you. So if I was looking at my credit card statement and I have up my last month's statement here, it would have to tell me if I had an annual fee and how much that was. This first page kind of gives me an overview of everything I have due. And if you look right here under fees, you're going to see I have $0 in fees. Like I said, I refused to get a credit card that had an annual fee because I thought that was ridiculous. Another area it might tell you your fees is usually at the bottom of your statement or the very last page. So I can see here there is a section that says fees charged, and under my total fees charged this billing period, I do have 0. And I can see again in my totals to date, total fees charged this year, $0. So our next term is the annual percentage rate. And if you're on Quizlet and you're trying to auto-define, I think the definitions it's giving are a little confusing. The first thing I do want you to put in your definition is that APR is what annual percentage rate stands for. And many times on a credit card statement or an agreement, it's simply referred to as APR rather than actually spelling out annual percentage rate. And so it's super important that you know that they're the same thing. Basically, all that APR is, so annual standing for yearly, it is the yearly percentage rate of interest that you would have to pay if you weren't paying off your credit card bills in full. So I'm going to put down yearly percentage rate of interest that you have to pay if you don't pay off your monthly bill in full. So if you have an APR, for example, of 12% each month, if you aren't paying off your credit card bill in full, you would have to pay 1% interest on whatever you owe because it's 12% a year. So I'd be dividing my yearly amount by 12 months in a year. And so credit card companies, like the video said, generally charge a very high interest rate or a high APR, because they are considering you a risk when you're taking out that loan from them. If I'm looking at my credit card statement, I have to do a little digging in the fine print to find my APR. So over here on my first page, it says late payment warning. So again, this only kicks in if I've made a late payment or I haven't paid completely in full. It says my APRs may be increased up to 29.99%. So that's pretty high. I've seen credit cards go way, way higher. Again, a lot of those fees or those limits are listed usually at the bottom of your statement as well. And so you'll see here on this last page of my statement, there is a section that talks about the interest charge calculation, and it says my annual percentage rate is the annual interest rate on my account. And it tells me that I would be paying 13.5% or possibly 26.74%, or it could increase all the way to that 29.99%. So they're really going to stick it to you if they can. Next up, I've got the term credit limit. So over on Quizlet, when we look at auto-defining the credit limit, I think the first definition is great. It's the maximum amount of credit or of money that a lender will extend to a customer. In other words, it's the maximum amount that you can spend on your card. When I take a look at my statement, this shows up on my first page under my section that says credit limit. So my credit limit on my Citi card is $12,500. So if I wanted to, I could spend up to $12,500. You'll see I have not spent that full amount this month, and oh my gosh, I would be in trouble if I did, but I could if I wanted to spend up to that amount of money. Most credit card companies will look at your credit score or your current finances before they set your limit to see what you can afford, but sometimes they'll increase it and they'll keep increasing it because they're trying to get you to max out that limit and not be able to pay it back in order for them to start charging you that APR interest. So I think when I first got my credit card, I only had a $2,000 credit limit, and now I'm all the way up to $12,500. The next term is our outstanding balance, also known as our current balance. Over in Quizlet, if you use auto-define for just outstanding balance, it says the amount of money you still need to pay off on your card. I think that's great, but I would also add in your definition the words, like I said, current balance, because sometimes it's referred to as that on the statement. If I'm looking at my credit card statement, this shows up in a lot of different places. So right now, mine shows up under this new balance right now. So currently in April, I owed $3,136.19. I can also see over here on the right, It gives me kind of a summary of what I owed the month before, what I paid off. So you'll see I pay mine off in full every single month. And then it'll say credits. So that's if I returned something, it would give me that money back. And then it would say purchases. So those are things that I bought and I owe. And so at the very end, it says again, my new balance. Next, we're going to look at rewards, which we've talked about a little bit beforehand. So if we go over to Quizlet and type in rewards and try to auto-define this, it's going to give us a lot of crap. When we talk about rewards for credit cards, those were things like getting free airline miles, it might be cash back, it might be store discounts, anything like it's an incentive or something you're going to get for using the card. When I take a look at my Citi card, my reward is a cash back, and notice that it's not showing anything on my first page about my rewards until that very bottom down here. It says dividend dollars. You've earned $57.95. So that's my reward, that's my cash back, and then it does tell me I can look at page 2 for more information. So if I went down to my page 2, it gives me another little section where it talks about my cash back. If you were getting airline miles, you'd probably see something very similar. One word of caution is that usually your reward is maxed out at some point. So there is a limit that you can earn on your cash back per year or on your airline miles. It comes with all those strings attached to it. But I want you to be aware that most credit cards are going to offer some sort of reward for you to use their card. But again, you've got to spend lots and lots and lots of money to get this reward. Late fees, they are exactly what they sound like. So if I'm auto-defining, it's a fee charged for a late payment. This is on top of your APR or your interest payment kicking in as well. So not only are you going to have to start paying interest on whatever you didn't pay off in full or whatever you were late paying on, but you'll get socked with another additional late fee as well. On my credit card statement, there is that little tiny late payment warning up there in the corner that says I would have to pay up to $37, and then my APR could be increased and would kick in. If I had a late fee actually charged, it would show up under this account summary. I do not have a late fee charged here. And then another area it might even show up is down at the bottom where it's talking about fees charged. So again, I have 0 fees charged. The final term I want to make sure you're familiar with and you can identify on a credit card statement is the minimum payment term. If we take a look at that and auto-define it on our Quizlet, I like the second definition the best, the smallest amount a credit card bill that a credit card holder must pay each billing cycle. So if you make the minimum payment, that means you're not going to get socked with a late fee, but you are going to have to start paying your interest or your APR because you haven't paid off your entire bill or your entire loan in full. And anytime you have a loan, you're going to get charged interest. So you at the very least have to pay this before they start repossessing or start charging you other fees. On my credit card statement, this is showing up here in the very top. It says minimum payment due $47. So my total that I had charged, again, my new balance, my current outstanding balance was $3,136. I have to pay at least $47 of that off if I don't want to get a late fee. If I only pay $47 or if I pay any amount other than the full, my APR is still going to kick in. So once you get all those terms entered, make sure you scroll down to the bottom and choose Create or Done, whichever button you have. And then you're going to see all of your terms here. There are some really great tools that you can use to study these terms on Quizlet. My personal favorites are either the Learn button, the Matching, or the Testing button, where it'll create different kind of games or quizzes for you to practice each of these terms. The only other thing I wanted to draw your attention to on a credit card statement is the fact that in addition to giving you the overall summary of where your account standing is on the first page, it will include multiple other pages that list out every single purchase that you have made on your credit card during that billing period, and it will give a little description of each one. So you'll see I have made a lot of purchases, so it goes on for a lot of pages that it lists all of those out. You can also look up your credit card information online if you don't want to wait for a monthly statement, and a lot of those terms will show up on your online account too. So if I was just going online and looking at my credit card account, I would see that I've got my current outstanding balance that's listed over here. I have my minimum amount due, my minimum payment that's over there. It shows me my rewards on the right. If I'm trying to find like my APR or my late fees, or my limits, I'm gonna have to go to the little section. See, it tries to hide it and not scare you off. But you'll see there was my credit card limit of that 12,500. It does tell me my APR percentages, and it says it could vary, which we saw on the statement. It actually said it could go up to 29.9%. The only thing it doesn't really list right here is what a late fee would be or what my annual fee would be. I would have to look at that under my actual card agreement. Then it does go over all your purchases just like it showed on the actual statement. The only other thing is that they give you another summary down here at the end. So you can view it online. It's very similar. Different credit cards are going to look slightly different, but they are going to have all of those terms on them. So to help you practice looking for those terms and becoming more familiar with them, the next thing I'd like you to do is this 5-4 dissecting a credit card statement. When you pull it up, you can either print this or do this on Notability. I've given you 2 different credit card statements that I'm wanting you to label all of the terms we just learned on that statement. I'm totally fine if you're just circling on the statement and labeling. Otherwise, I've also seen some students color code. Like let's say they color code APR is green, and then on the actual statement, wherever you would see APR, you'd highlight it in green. If the term appears more than once, please highlight it every time that you would see it on the statement, just so you're aware of the number of times that they're actually giving you that information.